Hello, welcome to Business Communication Module, one of the two graduation courses for students of foreign language, teacher education faculties, and the Faculty of English. My name is Chi, and today I'm very happy to join you in this lecture about business communication. When we talk about business communication, there would be a lot of different items that you would like to share. We think communication is listening, communication is nonverbal communication, verbal communication, internal communication, external communication. There would be a lot of concepts that have been involved in the understanding of business communication. We often think about business communication as part of the verbal communication, nonverbal communication, listening skills, cross-cultural communication, understanding, message to be understood, message to be transcended. So what is communication? The very basic concept of communication is to share a message to the different participants in the process of communicating. So the act of communicating between and among participants would be considered as communication. So when we talk about communication, why do we think communication is important to business? Some of you may say that communication is important because business deals with people and business is made up of people. And as people always have a need to communicate, so communication in business is very important. People say communication is important in business because it opens up opportunities for people to understand, to get together, to exchange products and services, to promote commercial products, to sell a service, to promote a service, to advertise their strengths. So communication is very important to business, whether you are from a big organization or a small individual business or enterprise. So communication is important. So what is the concept of business communication? Business communication is used for the promotion of products and services. And good communication is important because effective communication can really help and drive away the different obstacles, hindrances. And ineffective communication means a loss of profits, a lot of understanding, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort that people need to work together. So by saying this, we can see the power of communication. Communication brings about values. Communication brings about loyalty of your customers. Communication brings about the integrity of the understanding. Communication brings about very good relationship to be built up. It brings about value of time, value of money, integrity, loyalty, self-respect. In general, communication, good communication brings about the success of individuals and of organizations. So what are some basic elements of communication? As you can see, in the process of communication, there are different elements. The very first element would be what we say, the sender, the message to be transcended, the message to be interacted, the message to be sent to the receiver from the sender. So you can see the sender, the receiver, and the message are the first three important elements of a process of business communication. Besides this, we have to talk about channels of communication which involve how the message is transcended, how the message goes across the participants, how the message is conveyed by means of writing, by oral communication, by media, by means of email, faxes, telegram, and different types. Besides channel of communication, we may talk about symbols, how people communicate, by what means, by means of words, by means of action, by means of emotions, and signs and signals. So these are different sub-elements that constitutes what we say symbols of communication. And don't forget the very final element, which is also very important, feedback. No matter how you communicate and who you are communicating with, you always want to seek feedback from the partners, from participants in the process of communication. So these 6 very basic elements of communication, I think you must all know about and be aware of. So how we can describe the element in a whole diagram. So for example, if you are working together, if you are sitting together with a partner, I would like you to draw a diagram to show the different elements in the process. But now first I want you to look at this diagram, and I want you to tell me whether any missing element, is there any element, is there anything that is missing from the diagram? You can see here you have sender, you have receiver, you have feedback, you have channel. There might be something missing. I think you may know. It can be what? It can be how people communicate. It can be the symbol, right? So suppose that we are in a classroom and you can see the teacher. You can see the teacher is here and we are students. And you can see how the people are engaged in the process of communication. The teacher would send a message to the students, and the student would receive the message from the teacher. So the message is sending message. The message is understood, but how the teacher transferred that message, we are looking at the channel communication here. The channel communication is lecture, but you can have online lecture, you can have blended learning, so the channel communication varies depending on context. But how the teacher communicates the message, how she delivers the lesson, depending on the symbols, the kind of language she used, the kind of image she used, the PowerPoint, the video, the visual. So there would be a lot of things would add to the symbols of communication that you may need to put in the whole process. Right. So business communication, as it is so important, it is used for the promotion of products and for the promotion of services. Business communication is also used for legal purposes when people have something to sue, something to pursue, and people would like to have very clear clarification of something in business. That is when business communication is aimed for. Business communication involves both internal communication and external communication. So with business communication, you can see also the different features of business communication. Number one very important feature is that business communication should be practical. So here you can see by being practical, business communication means that the information should be important to the receiver. It gives you how we should communicate, why we should communicate, and when people should communicate. Then the next feature of communication is being factual. Business communication should be factual because all of the facts and the figure, including days and place and time, should be clearly identified and clearly put. Another important feature of business communication is that it should be clear and brief. By being clear and brief, it means that the language used for communication should be simple, should be clear, and should be brief. Another important feature of communication is that it should be target-oriented. Communication should aim toward a very specific objective, an action plan to realize the target of the activity. And also business communication should be persuasive. It means that the employees should be persuaded to perform duties, to convince customers to buy a product, to deliver a service, to receive a service. So these are different features of business communication, and these are already given in your handout, and you can have further read and further identification of the different elements. Talking about different levels of business communication, and you can see levels of communication involve both horizontal and vertical communication. By vertical communication, we mean communication can be bottom up and it can be top down. I mean upward communication and downward communication. Beside upward and downward communication, you also have what we say lateral communication or sidewise communication. To make it simply, we can say horizontal communication, which means communication among the different employees or different level managers, like the head of sales communicate with the head of marketing or the head of accounting or finance. With different levels of communication, you can see in an organization there can be different groups of people and they are work in different divisions. For example, division of sales, division of marketing, division of production, accounting, legal issue, legislation. So these different groups of people, when they communicate, you can see different types of communication takes place in business setting. So that is the reason why we talk about internal communication when employees, managers, and different levels of management in a company would communicate to each other. So in a nutshell, you can see business communication involves both internal, external communication, top-down and bottom-up, and also we have lateral or sidewise communication. Talking about different characteristics of communication, so here you can see I have already put out a lot of different characteristics. Let's have a look at the different characteristics of communication. And you can see number one, you can see that is integral part of management process. Everybody knows for sure that business communication is a very important part of communication. That is a two-way traffic, which means communication should be mutual, should be both way, two-way traffic. That involves the interaction between different participants, different partners, different layers in a communication. It should ensure mutual understanding, because without mutual understanding, business communication would not reach the message to be transcended. It should be pervasive, continuity, specific in terms of target, in terms of action plan. It should result in some of the work to be done, some of the action to be made. It would involve both internal and external communication. There are different types of business communication. It can be oral, it can be written, it can be verbal, non-verbal, it can be internal, external communication, and feedback. So these are different characteristics of the whole process of business communication. Right, so internal communication, when we talk about communication in an organization. So communication in an organization is very common, and you know for sure, some of the example, if you look at this picture, you could see a man, and I think you guys, this is a manager who is attempting to communicate with his secretary, but she may look very hesitant, or she doesn't feel very comfortable. So it means that communication, even internally, it doesn't look very smooth going, because there seems to be a distance that both participants have to pose toward each other, right? So inside an organization, you can see internal communication can be very important, and it's based on the process of dual listening and dual understanding and mutual benefits, right? So you can see inside an organization, I show you this slide to show that there can be different layers of communication in a business. You can have communication among the levels of management. You can have communication or interaction between the board of directors to the manager, to the employees, between the employees, or the trade unions and the supervisor to employers. So I would like you to think about what kind of topic or what kind of themes that can be discussed among these people. For example, between the board of directors to the managers and to the employees. So what kind of topic? At the manager of a company, at a director of a company, what do you think they would communicate to the participants in a company, to the employees in a company? So you can see some of the topic I would like you to think about among these, right? So the different theme, there can be different theme for internal communication. for different layers of communication, for different layers of a business. So for example, the board of directors may communicate to the managers. They may talk about sales target. They may talk about the company vision and mission. They can talk about the expected sales. And from that, the company would work out action plan to achieve the sales targets. So that would be some of the possible themes among the manager of the company to the board director. How about between the manager to the employees? So manager may work with the employees and they discuss job responsibilities. They discuss the job options, whether you would like to work far away from home, whether you have some telecommuting assignments, or maybe manager would like to talk to the employees about the expected sale. They either design sale, we would like to achieve 200% or 150% of the target compared with the period last year, for example. Or employees also discuss with the boss, with the supervisor about working hours, working options, and some of the pay schemes, some of the work options, for example. And between the employees, there would be a lot to discuss. The employees and trade unions, for example, they can think about how to improve the working hour, how to improve the quality of the workplace, how to create a very conducive working environment for the employees to work under a very comfortable and very productive manner. So you can see that would be a different topic. Or employees can also discuss some kind of benefits or welfare schemes, for example, sickness benefits, or pay or welfare or holiday pay or pension scheme or work relationships. So these are different topics we would like you to think about. So now outside the organization, when the businesses have to get out for customers, for relationship, so you could see this would play the important role of public relations that we often say PR, which is a very important element of business. And you can see PR is very important, and outside an organization, you can have different elements, different partners, different stakeholders who have been involved in the process of business communication. You can see, for example, a business would go to the bank or some other credit institutions for loans, for some kind of financial options. Or businesses or enterprises would work with the communities for some of the charitable work or some of the community program. Or businesses would go to the authorities or local governments. For example, for some, policies, for some of the very important procedures, or some of the, for business licenses, or some of the agreements that really help business. In time of difficulty, in time of trouble, businesses would need some policy help or policy change from the local government in order to initiate and to drive away some of the obstacles for businesses. For example, during the outbreak of the COVID-19, for example. So from this, you would understand the importance of internal and external communication. If you have a sheet of paper in front of you, I would ask you to draw a diagram showing the importance and also different types of internal and external communication. If you consider you are a business and you are working for a business, you can think about different types of webs and relationships that really show communication. Right, so that's it for the first part. So you can see business communication is very important because good business communication can improve employees' commitment and performance. Let me tell you an example. Why is business communication important in improving job security, job performance, and job commitment? So for example, I am your manager, I am your boss, And on Monday morning, I come to work, for example. I saw you at your desk, sitting, feeling very moody, feeling so sad. I get close to you and ask you, what's the matter? What's the problem? And then you burst out into tears and you say, my son is sick, and my mother is sick too, and we have nobody to take care of my kid, and my husband is away from home on a business trip. And I would say, no worry, I would give you a day off, go home and take care of your son and take care of your mom, and go back to work when you are okay, when your family is getting better. And what do you think? You feel so happy because you got a boss who really understands you, who is really sympathetic. And believe me, when you go back to work, you would work 200% of your energy. You would work with 200% of your commitment. And you can see that your workplace is a second home. So that is very important. And I think that really improves your commitment. You feel that your second home, and you will never lose that second home. You feel you love it. That is how communication is so necessary. Besides this, you can see good communication can improve sales. Customer would like to act in a very active manner. They would go back to your business, they would go back to your service. So you got more customer, you have less staff turnover, and you will have less staff leaving your workplace. So that would show you the important role of business communication. So good communication is good business. And that is very necessary. And in business, communication is everything. And in business, communication is the number one thing which is very important. It is not only important in business, in any organization. If we think about working like a business place, communication is very important, because businesses, that you can see, businesses made up of people, and good communication matters, because businesses and business organizations are made up people, and good communication and the ability to communicate well is very important in business. So, as students who are going to graduate from university and you are going to apply for the job, you can think about how necessary it is to have good communication skills. You can make a list of some of the important effects for you if you have good communication skills. So I would like you to think about this. You can make a list of different effects that good communication can bring to you, how important it is. So I have discussed this with many students, and I got some of their comments, their sharing. I'm going to show it with you. So you can see there are some of the comments made by my students. They say good communication is necessary because, let me read for you. Good communication is necessary because it helps improve work relationships. It helps open up new job opportunities. It helps build up a good, supportive, very friendly working environment. It helps you speed up administrative process in case you would like to have some documentation side. It is very necessary. It helps dealing with conflicts. It helps us to enjoy workplace, and more importantly, it helps promote our goodwill. It builds up our sense of trust, and it builds up our sense of community. And lastly, it fosters mutual respect. So these are the comments made by students, and I would like to share it with you. So you can see how important it is, the importance of business communication. And you can have this slide in your handout, and you can see the movement of information, the movement of goods and services, loyalty of customer, assisting the motivation, establishment of effective leadership, establishment of public relations, the job satisfaction, means of coordination, basic of collaboration, coordination, and basic for decision making. So all of these are very necessary, and I have already put that in the handout for you. So let's see how important it is to have good communication in business. So it is important to have good interpersonal skill as well. So what kind of interpersonal skills you need to have? These are different elements like verbal communication, nonverbal communication, negotiation, persuasion, influence, critical thinking, problem solving, decision making, assertiveness, and teamwork. So I'm going to show you a video clip, show you about internal communications, interpersonal communication, which would be very necessary. So I have already put that in your, so I have put that on Moodle for you so you can watch it. But if you can see that with the caption, you could see there are different elements in business. Nonverbal communication, verbal communication, listening skill, negotiation, problem solving, decision making, and assertiveness.
To see what happens when employees do not have the interpersonal skills needed to perform at work. Fred failed miserably in verbal communication with his entire staff. The definition of verbal communication is how and what words are used to communicate with individuals.
Verbal communication.
It is the ability to communicate through words with the correct tone and manner. Fred's initial week with intestinal distress Taco revealed that he was not capable of good verbal communication. He mumbled orders and then screamed when employees did anything wrong.
So you can continue to watch this when I put that on the Moodle. Coming back to our lesson. So why is it very important? You say communication in business is important because you could be an excellent designer, but you don't know how to communicate about product. You don't know how to promote your products. Your potential is limited. You can be an excellent teacher, but you don't know how to transcend the values of your knowledge and skill to your students. Your potential is limited. So you can see with very important role of communication. People in business communicate in different ways. By looking at these photos, you could see how people communicate. Can you guess how people communicate? By means of what? By means of words, by means of body language, by means of what? Telephone, faxes, emails, internet, oral communication, written communication, media, and different types of communication. That is very necessary for you to understand this. So where is communication very essential? Communication is very essential, especially when you pitch your potential customer. I mean, for example, in TestFed 2019, 2018, very young entrepreneurs, they need to pitch their project, their business project. So when you work out to find your potential customer, communication is very important. It is very important when you follow up in writing to confirm the message that you have already stated. Business communication is necessary, and there would be different types. You can see personal visit, you can see phone calls, you can see meeting where people would go to very formal settings. They can go for meeting. You can go for customer service, ask for feedback, asking for clarification, which is very important. You can also see that people often serve with a smile, and face-to-face networking is very important for business. face-to-face networking is necessary, and especially you have to pay attention to the verbal communication and nonverbal communication as well. So here you can see, for example, I ask you to stand up. So you can stand up, for example. The way we communicate, our verbal communication would be different. I ask you to stand up. I ask you to sit down. If you look down, put your hand together like this, you look very passive. If you look up, put your hand like this, you can be very, very active. You can be very assertive. If you put your hand on your hip and you look straight to a person and you don't smile, it really shows that you are really aggressive and you are not very assertive. So there would be different elements that would add to the successful communication. Besides this, we can see good business communication really help in promotion of a product and in launching a sales campaign. And also when we want to do this and when you want to market your business, communication and even your letter would be what we say the ambassador of the business. It will help with the brand awareness. So you need to write well, and you can see beside this, you also have what we say telephone calls, personal visits, email, credit reports, meetings, minutes, or press release, memorandum, memos. These are different examples of communications that you can see. And don't forget the business letter, which is a very important element of communication in business, because written communication shows the level of formality that you really want to think about. So you need to write well, and your letter, as you say, your letter will become the ambassador of the written word, and try not to forget that. That will become your company and very important paper representative of your business. And don't forget, when you write a letter, these are the different, there are 9 requirements that you need to consider when you write a letter of business. The letter in business, or we say business correspondence. So we have number 1, let me have this for you. Number 1, it should create a favorable first impression. It should appeal to the reader point of view. It should be correct in every detail when you write a letter in business. When you do this, don't forget your letter should be courteous, friendly, and sincere. It should promote goodwill by ending a letter with "you're faithfully," or you say looking forward to hearing from you, or looking forward to meeting you, for example. It should be clear and complete. It should be concise. It should flow smoothly. It should be well paragraphed with the different topic sentence in each paragraph. It should avoid jargon, some of the special language which can be understood by a limited number of people, and that would be everything for the lesson. So I think that the lecture would really help you with some of the very key concepts, and thank you very much for your watching. Thank you.